My name is Sandra Mtetwa. I'm here to tell my story because I am with her.
Through it.
So my story started when I was pregnant with my son. When I realized I was pregnant with my son, I told my baby daddy then, boyfriend then, that I was pregnant, and he was excited, you know. And then when I was 2 months pregnant, he started changing. I don't know why, but he did. And then fast forward to when I gave birth, he wasn't in the picture. He just decided to leave me with my son, and my father took me in. And then at that point, I went through a lot of emotions because I needed support. I needed him to be there. I needed, you know, it's one thing to have your parents, my father and my mother then, being there for you, but it's a different thing altogether to have your husband or your baby's father with you during the process of pregnancy and childbirth. And you know, when I gave birth in Baines Clinic, a lot of women were being visited by their husbands, but I didn't have it, you know, and it used to bother me, you know, it used to bother me a lot. And then after I gave birth, I gave birth through C-section, and I was in a lot of pain. You can imagine, I was in pain, like physical pain, and I was in emotional pain. He wasn't there to support me financially. My father paid everything. So I went on. Then when my son was 1 year, 8 months, rather when my son was 1 year, we started talking, and we decided that we'd get back together. So we got back together. I started staying with him when my son was 1 year, 8 months. That was in February, I remember. And at that point, things were fine. There was no problem. His family welcomed me into their house. And you know, my son is a replica of his dad. Yeah, he looks like his dad. And when I got there, his grandmother said to him, "But Gabono Daridin, like if you see my son, he looks exactly like his father." And that's when they just accepted me. And me as the new daughter-in-law, I did everything I could to make sure that these people liked me. Because remember, these people didn't want me to start with. I don't know if it's him or it's his whole family, I don't know. But at this point, I was trying to be in sync with his family. I stayed with his grandmother and his grandfather for 2 months. Then we moved out. That's when it started. When we moved out, we went to stay at a flat somewhere. And I remember the first weekend, I started staying with them. He said to me, you know, like I'm not supposed to say anything. I wasn't allowed to say anything. Like he would go and drink and then come back in the morning. I wasn't supposed to ask any questions. I was just supposed to take it. So the first time there was no water. I told him, "Can you go and get me water?" Because I didn't understand where to get water, how to get water in this new area that I was living in. And he locked me inside the gate and he left. And my son, you know, he drinks water so much because when I went him off, I used water. So he drinks a lot of water. At that point, he was thirsty. I called him, "Where are you? You know, this child is crying, he wants water." And he started yelling at me over the phone. That was the first day the whole violence started. He came back he left home at around 9. And then I had to ask for water from next door because I had to like climb a chair and then ask for water, and then they gave me water for my son, you know, to drink. I gave my son, and I kept calling him, "Where are you? I need water, where are you?" And he came back around 3, 4, still looking for water. Then when he came back, he opened the gate and was like, why were you calling me? I told you I was coming back. I'm like, "But you left and you said you're coming like in 30 minutes or so." Then he hit me. He hit me so bad. It was so bad that the guy from next door came to stop him, but it was terrible because on Monday, this was on a Sunday. On a Monday, I went to work, and my then boss said to me, "Sha, zukura kukumba, because you don't look okay." And he said to me, like, "I need to understand what happened to you before I let you go." And I said, "I was in an accident on the way from Norton. So I was in an accident." And I don't know if he believed that story or if he didn't, but that is what I was going with. Because I didn't want to say what I was going through, you know. Then I went back home. He was there. He said he was sorry, and he was sweet at that point. And, you know, we hashed it out, as it were. Then the second time he hit me is his girlfriend kept calling him at home. I asked him, "Why does your girlfriend keep calling you at home?" And he said, "You don't ask me such things." That's when it started. Again, he hit me, and he said sorry again, and I forgave him. Then I became sick, you know, and he would go sleep with girls without protection, and I had an STI at that point. I told him, "I'm sick, can we go to the clinic to get treatment?" He said no. And he had the audacity to accuse me of having given him STI. I don't know where I should have gotten it from, but, you know, I didn't have it when I started staying with them. Then I went to the clinic, I got treated, I came back. The nurse said, "You should come together," you know, but he didn't want to go with me. Then after that, it just became worse. It became worse. He would leave me hungry with my son. He would go and have drinks with his friends. He would come and put his money there, and I'm not allowed to touch. And I had lost my job at that point because I was unstable, you know. My boss was like, "You know, Sandra, I can't have you working here because every other day you come here, you've got issues. You have issues. It's either your son is sick or you are sick or something is going on. I'm sorry, but I have to let you go. You're not happy, and my clients are complaining that you're always frowning, you're always shouting at clients." So she let me go. Then that's when the road of not having, I lost a lot of weight because I wasn't eating right. There was no food for me and my son. His mother here and there would send, she stays in Namibia, would send groceries for me and my son. But you know, sometimes it's not enough because there are other things that you need. But one day he'll be okay. The next he's gone crazy. I didn't get it, you know. I was in a lot of emotions, so much that I couldn't laugh, you know. Like my friends would call me and try to joke with me, but I couldn't laugh. I just couldn't. Like laughter comes from the stomach. It wasn't coming out for me. And then this other day, he came back with his friends. They parked at the gate, and they were having sex in the car with his girlfriend, you know. And I saw it. Then he comes inside the house without any underwear, just wearing his shorts. I ask him, "Ko, where's your boxer?" And he says he doesn't know. But how do you not know where your boxer is? I mean, you left wearing it. That's the day he hit me so bad that I collapsed. And I think I died at that point. Because I'm here trying to, you know, make sure that this marriage, this family sticks, and you are doing all sorts of shenanigans. Like what's supposed to happen to me? And you gave me an STI the other time. And then now, like, what is it that you want to happen? You know? So after that point, I got numb, I think. Like the beatings continued. I became numb to a lot of things, and I think I checked out of the marriage at that point. Like emotionally, I just checked out. I was just there physically, but I checked out. Then his mother said, "You guys should come to Namibia." We went to Namibia in December. I remember because when we weren't even talking. And I'm traveling with you. And I remember I said to him, Sha, gatina matieka kuti tifambe zvakanaka. And he said to me, andina matiniwe, uri mwana wa Satan. You know? And he would say to me, Sandra, uri Trina. He said a lot of hurtful things. You know, you are so ugly. The other day he laughed at me. He said, you're so ugly and so dark, like no one is ever going to want you. And he fell off the bed laughing at that point. He laughed at me so bad, I cried, you know. And he told me I was worthless, I was worth nothing. You know, like his girlfriend then was very light, and here I am very dark. And he would laugh at me, you know. He would say all sorts of things. And it destroyed me inside each and every day. And my son would see me in pain. He would see me like going through all this. And I wasn't happy. Quite frankly, I wasn't. But I guess I tried to manage this whole process. Then we went to Namibia. When we got there, on the first day, the mother told me that then I told her, imagine I'm supposed to stay in a house where people are telling me that, and this is like miles and miles away from home. Like I have nobody that I'm with except for my cousin. Luckily there was my cousin who was working in Swakopmund. He would always have my back and he would always support me, give me money here and there. And it was hard having to go to his house and ask. He was very helpful though. But I didn't have a choice. I had to go to him when I needed some sort of comfort, when I needed to feel like I had somebody, I would go to him and his wife. Okay, so, you know, ideally when you travel, you are supposed to go in his fun. You think in this beautiful, Namibia is a very beautiful country. And Swakopmund is a very beautiful city. It's so beautiful, but if I'm to be honest, I never enjoyed that place. I never enjoyed it so much that I actually want to go back to enjoy it now. Because it was so painful for me to stay in that place, you know. And I talk about this openly because there are some things that you go through and you think this is the end. And when I was in Namibia, I thought it was the end. Do you know, I didn't even have like lotion. I didn't have, like, they would tell me to cook and dish, but they should also tell me that the mother, at that point you'd have cooked maybe 4 or 5 pieces. That means you're not going to get, you know. So, and I was comfortable, you know. I was okay because already I was used to not having food all the time. So I would literally just have rice, sadza with soup and veggies and maybe a little bit of a small piece of meat. And it was okay for me. It was okay because I was still in this marriage, you know, which I told I would sacrifice for. So she told me to go look for a job. I would go and look for a job. And she said, if acha kuda ukaona basa anokuda ukatanga kugeza ukanaka anokuda, you know. And she told me the other day, and she said, you know, there are eyeshadows in the bathroom, right? Maybe you should put eyeshadow and lipstick. And she gave me lipstick. I came back with it because I was so ugly so much that I needed makeup to cover my ugliness at that point. I was so dark. And she said a lot of hurtful things to me. I literally went everywhere in Swakopmund to look for a job. I think if I go back, they probably will remember me. I went everywhere to look for a job. House, being a maid, whatever. I just needed something to validate my marriage, you know, and this job would do that for me. But I didn't get it. I didn't get the job. So actually the first day I slept in their house. They gave us a room to sleep in. And when I was walking towards the bed, there was a mat that had a TV on top. I kicked something like coarse salt. And you know, when someone puts coarse salt, like traditionally means maybe you mean the roya or something. Like she was trying to insinuate that you mean the roya, or I don't know, but that's what I thought. I could find I want to put my like, what's going on, you know? And I went somewhere, I don't know where, I think I went to visit my cousin when she said you can come over to see where I stay and all that. And then when I came back, like everything was in shambles, like my bags were unpacked, like she went through my stuff, I don't know what she was looking for. And I had anointing oil then. And she said to me the other day, so anointing oil, but why would I do that, you know? And she was like, no, because anointing oil or anointing water inside. Look, I mean, I'm using this for myself. I needed something, you know, to give me comfort and God, you know. And you're busy telling me that I'm here to put anointing oil inside your food just because you think that would make you want me or your son wants me, you know. But that wasn't even like what I was there for. I was here sacrificing myself, sacrificing my happiness, sacrificing my joy for my son. And you're busy trying to insinuate things, you know, but that wasn't me. So I let it go. So the other day, I had like serious stomach pains. And she asked me to drink some African medicine, which I'd never, you know. And I knew what I was going through. I knew what was making me sick. I told her. She quickly dismissed it. I thought maybe she thought I was joking, or I don't know what she thought. And then she called the son. My ring, such and such. Is this true? He was like, yeah, I remember. He admitted to his mother. You imagine the whole time I was in this marriage, he never admitted to me. This time he admitted that he had STI Kawan. But he's like, what are you saying? Like, what are you insinuating? Because remember, there was reinfection. Like, I would go and get treated, and then you wouldn't go with me, maybe you would go alone, and you know, it continued. So obviously, there was no proper treatment at this point. And she gave me African herbs to drink. Truly speaking, I never drank. Because of the respect that I had for just mother-in-law, I would put it in a cup. Like, luckily the sink was like somewhere at the back where she wouldn't see me. I would go to the sink, like throw it away. That's what I used to do. I never used to drink. So my aunt told me, you can take aloe vera, put it in water and drink. So that's what I did. I took aloe vera, something I could see and touch. Something I knew where it came from. So I took aloe vera, put in a cup and drank. You know, it said it would clean my system somehow. That's what I did, because at this point they told me they didn't have money to get me treated, and it was only 100 rands. Like Namibian dollars, it was $100. I mean Namibian dollars, which is equivalent to 100 rands. But they couldn't spare 100 rands for me to go and get treatment. So then I did, you know, it was draining me. Every other day I would cry. Like every time I would go to bath, I would cry. And you know, if you've been to Swakopmund is a very cold place. It's really cold. And she'll tell me, Kuti, no, panapa, ati gezine giza. Tunapeza magets. Moto geza mbreno tunrame Rashford. You know, it was very cold and I'm asthmatic. So I would use cold water every day. But when it's time for her son to go in bath, she would boil water for him. Because he didn't like cold water. But it was okay for me to use cold water. But it was okay. I survived. And sometimes when I would boil water for my son, that's when I would bath, when it was really like extra cold. But every time I went to bath, for the whole time I was there, I would cry every day. Because it was my alone time, and my emotions like came out, and I'm thinking, what am I doing here? What is this, God? I would question God every day. Why am I in this marriage? Like, why am I being abused like this? And the mother would shout at me, and my husband would never support me. He would just keep quiet. Sometimes, like all the time, take his mother's side, never take my side. And then I tried to talk to him, and he locked himself in the car. He said, I don't talk to you, I have nothing to say to you. And I told you to go back home. Like, okay. Then this one day I was sleeping, and I was having a nightmare. So I was deep in my sleep and having a nightmare. So I think I was making noises. Then he hit me in my sleep. So I woke up like in shock, like, what's going on? He said, you're making noise. I'm making noise. Like, why couldn't you just wake me up proper, you know? Like, did you have to hit me? And he says, you know what? I told you to go home. And I said, you know what? I think it's enough. I think I'll go this time. I'm tired. I'll go home. That's the day that I chose myself. I told myself, no, this is enough. I've gone through it. I'm sick. I'm tired. I'm drained. I'm emotionally drained. I'm tired of this. Then I told him I'm going to the beach. By the time I come back, I want you to have spoken to your mother. And he says to me, like, he just left me, you know, to make my own decisions because he couldn't care less. So I went to the beach, I came back, I asked him, and he says to me, no, like I told you, this is your situation, like, talk to her. And then I kept quiet that day. The second day, I went to the beach, and then on my way to the beach, I cried the whole way in the back, questioning God why he put me in this situation, or why I put myself in this situation. I didn't even know, and I asked for forgiveness. And I said, God, if I somehow put myself in this situation, forgive me. If I ever did anything wrong to this man and his family for giving birth to my son, for agreeing to give birth to my son. Because at a point when I was pregnant, he asked me to have an abortion, and I said no. I refused to have an abortion. And at this point I was questioning myself, should I have had that abortion? Because all this is happening because I agreed to carry my child full term. I should have had an abortion. So many people were telling me, even some of my friends were asking me to have an abortion because what is going to happen to you? You're not working. How are you going to take care of your child? You know, you need to have an abortion. I said no. I'm going to keep my child. And there was this one person, my friend, her name is Charlotte. She said to me, Sandra, don't have an abortion, keep this baby. You love this baby one day, do not abort. And you know, when she told me, I was having a conversation with my baby dad then that maybe you should actually consider having an abortion. And Charlotte said, no, my friend, don't do it. Don't have an abortion. One day you're going to love this child. One day you're going to appreciate that you had this child. You carried your child to full term. And all these things were coming back to mind when I was like going to the beach and coming back. Then this second day, during lunch, I remember it was about lunchtime. I went in the spare bedroom. I asked to speak to the mother. She came. And I told her that I think I'm going to go home, back to my family, because your son told me he doesn't want it. I think I've had it. And she called the son and she asked her, my ring, Abachada, what is your take? And he says, like that. He didn't even give a care in the world, you know, about me and my son. And she said, okay. And she called everybody, you know, in her phone book, I think. Like her sister, everybody, like people to tell them, you know, like she was excited. And I'm going through this. Like, this is heartbreaking for me that I'm going to have to break this family. My son is going to have to grow up in a broken home. Like, do I want that for my child? No. Did I accept abuse because I wanted my child to grow up with both parents? Yes, I was willing to go through all the abuse for the sake of my son. I was sacrificing myself for the sake of my son. But she is enjoying this. She clearly is enjoying the fact that I am living. you know? And at that point, I just told myself, you know what, it's okay. It's cool. I'll go home. That's when the next day we called the father, and the father came and sat down and she said to me, like she's doing like blackmail, you know, like emotional blackmail, you know? Like, and she was, whenever I tried to speak, the father is quite reasonable, to be honest. Whenever I tried to speak to talk to the father, she would cut me. No, like whenever I tried to say something, she would cut me, like don't tell the father. Like they wanted me to remain a good person to the father, to the whole family, you know, and they looked good. Her and her son looked okay, I looked good, I'm the bad person in this marriage. And I was okay with it. I was okay with them thinking that I'm bad. Decided that maybe it was time for me to leave. We agreed, and then I decided to leave their family. So the mother said, you know what, I'll accompany you so that I make sure that you go. So that no one says, because I convinced someone otherwise when they go to Harare. So they literally came back with us to Zimbabwe just to make sure I go home. And I was okay with it really because I was tired. I was exhausted with everything. And then we traveled here to Zimbabwe. But before we traveled, she asked me to leave my son. I told her, no, I'm not leaving my son. Even if you don't support him, it's okay. I'm traveling, I'm going back with my child. I will go back with my child. And I will never be separated from my son because I needed him more than he needed me. You know, I needed my son for comfort, for love, for everything, because with all this that I've gone through. But anyway, maybe to conclude this whole thing, I would advise women that get into such situations to choose themselves. Don't choose a man. Because you know, my mother used to say, like, that alone, like that statement is pregnant with meaning, because then you will make your decisions wisely. Because we choose a man, we don't choose ourselves. We choose to make a man happy, at the same time making ourselves sad. And you live a miserable life and then you die miserable. Like, what's the point? The life is to be enjoyed. And you don't get to enjoy your life. I couldn't laugh for 2 years. Now I laugh my lungs out. I enjoy my life. God has blessed me with a job. Now I'm able to take care of my son. I call my ex-husband to say, can you add money? He doesn't take care of my son. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't pay anything. They only gave me $150 when my son started ECDA. But up to this day, they don't. And it's okay, you know, God blessed me. I say choose yourself more than anything. Choose your children. You know, whenever they tell you to leave, I suggest you leave with your child, because it's not easy to leave a child and then they grow up in a motherless home with a father and relatives and all that. Choose yourself, most importantly, and be happy, enjoy life, enjoy yourself, and don't let marriage define you. If you are married, that's okay, but don't let it be the ultimate definition of yourself, because you don't need a man to validate you. You don't need his family to validate you. You need to love yourself first before you can love anybody else. You can be happy if you love yourself. I love myself now. I enjoy my life. I'm happy. I literally laugh all the time. I even want to laugh now because God has been good to me. You know, He's been gracious. And I was blessed with a beautiful job, with beautiful people that treat me well, and I hope I treat them well as well. And I got tested everything. When I came back, my father made sure that I had FBC. I got treated for everything. I'm fine, I'm healthy, I'm happy. And God has been good to me. So don't let domestic violence destroy you. Don't let being emotional abuse, because you know, it's not just about physical abuse, it's about emotional abuse. Don't let emotional abuse abuse you. Abuse your emotions. Don't let it get to you. When it's too much, just leave. There's always life after that. People didn't think I'd make it, but I haven't made it, but you know, it's a process. I'm going through it and I'm enjoying the process. So God bless you and enjoy your life.